Okay, so this week in organic chemistry, you're going to be performing a separation or an extraction using a separatory funnel and the stuff in your procedure. What I have over to the side is smaller volumes of the stuff you will be using in your lab. I have a 10 milliliter portion of sodium bicarbonate and a 10 milliliter portion of tert-butyl methyl ether that has a little bit of your p-toluic acid dissolved into it. In your lab manual, it says you'll be using 25 milliliters a piece, but because this is a demonstration, I'm only using 10 to conserve. So I've got the entire apparatus set up as you should set it up whenever you come into lab. All I have is this ring stand with a single ring circle, that's what I call it, a ring circle on the side. Can you see it over here? And then the 125 milliliter separatory funnel set right in the side, and then a beaker in the bottom to collect whatever comes out on the bottom first. So right before you start anything, you have to ensure that your separatory funnel is closed. You can get onto the side of your separatory funnel and see by spinning the stopcock that there is a hole that goes all the way through it. Ensure that it is closed before you pour anything into it, otherwise you will create a big mess and you'll probably have to start all over again. So I've already verified that this is closed, so the first thing I'm going to do is add the two together to prepare for the extraction. I'll do so just by adding them into the separatory funnel. Now that I've added them, I'm going to carefully move the separatory funnel out of its apparatus and then put the stopper into the top. Now you have to be careful, because the reason you have to be careful is this reaction together will evolve carbon dioxide, so gas, and it can produce high pressures inside the separatory funnel. So I put the stopcock in and grab it with my two fingers over the top like so that it won't bust out on the end if I'm not paying attention. Then I will carefully invert it so that I'm not disturbing anything too much. And the first thing I'll do is vent. Okay, I don't know if you can hear that, but I can hear it. And so I'm going to vent it first. Then I'm going to start swirling very slowly at first, because it's going to evolve a lot of gas in the beginning. So I swirl it just a little bit and then let the gas out. Swirl it a little bit more vigorously and let the gas out. And I will continue doing so, getting more and more vigorous each time I swirl, but venting each time so that it does not produce high pressures and possibly become dangerous. Now, once I reach the point that I can shake this fairly vigorously and it's not producing much gas anymore, that's the point you've reached the end of your extraction. So I'm still producing gas, I'm continuing to shake it up. And this should be about good. Okay. Now that I've got it, I will carefully invert it again. Oop, see, it's not fully closed. Oop, that's not good. It's leaking somewhere. Try to turn it this way. Okay. There's a perfect example of where you need to make sure that your stopcock is closed all the way. Otherwise, you'll end up with a little bit of a mess there. All right, now that I'm ready to extract the bottom layer, the first thing I need to do is take off the stopper in the top. You will need to take it off because you have an intermediary step, but if you knew this already, you would be inclined to skip the intermediary step, and then you will see why in a minute as I will explain. However, before we progress forward, once you reach this point in the reaction, you will be able to see an interface. If I brought the video over here, it would be hard for you to see, but trust me, when you get in the lab, you'll be able to see it yourself. To verify that you are preparing to isolate the layer that you want to between the ether and the aqueous layer, we need to perform a test using a drop of DI water. So before you begin, you need to collect a small volume of DI water and a pasture pipette, and then when it's time, you will bring your pasture pipette down to the layer just above the interface and release one drop. This will tell you which layer is what. In the case of this, I let the drop go and it sinks through the upper layer and merges with the bottom layer, which means that the ether layer is on top and the aqueous layer is on the bottom, which is as expected because most ether layers are less dense than aqueous layers. So now that I have this ready, I can go ahead and pull off the aqueous layer on the bottom. To do this, you need to get eye level with the interface, and then you can start opening the stopcock to let some of the solution out. Now as you do this, because this is cone-shaped, as it starts losing volume at a constant rate, the interface will move faster and faster as you get closer to the stopcock. So you need to be careful when your interface is close to the stopcock. And so once it gets towards the bottom, right now it's about 1 centimeter away from the stopcock. I slow it down to only a couple of drops per second, if that. So I can keep an eye on it, and then right there is the point that I have only ether layer trapped in the separatory funnel. Now, your procedure indicates that you need to perform several sodium bicarbonate washes, so that is what I'm going to show you. The procedure is identical to what we just did, but I'll perform it one more time. You will have your isolate of 10 mils, or in your case 25 milliliters of sodium bicarbonate. Introduce it to your separatory funnel with the stopcock closed. Carefully remove it from the ring stand and put the stopper in the top. Get a good grip on the stopper to ensure it won't come out. Slowly rotate it, and so I'm going to adjust so the stopcock is where I can reach it. And the first thing I do before even shaking is let the air out. Now we'll swirl it just a little. Let the air out. A little more. And continue doing this until no more gas is evolved. This one will proceed much faster than the first one did because there's less gas to be evolved. So after only a few of these shakes, it's ready to go. I close the stopcock, back into the ring stand, and remove the stopper. And again, if you were uncertain, you'd perform the water drop test, but I know that the ether layer is on top. I will put the collection flask underneath it again, get back on eye level, and drain the aqueous layer. And we'll slow it down as it gets closer to the stopcock, and then close it entirely once it reaches the stopcock. The procedure calls for 2, if not 3 more washes, so I will go ahead and stop here because the procedure, as I said, is identical. But this is how you perform an extraction using a separatory funnel in the liquid you are intending to extract.